States. Victor Borge is a humanitarian decorated by 6 nations and celebrated in dozens more. He has starred in European and American movies, but he became a household name after a long run of appearances on the Bing Crosby radio show. He has accompanied many of the world's great artists and conducted and misconducted the world's greatest orchestra.
You make it impossible for me to speak. So consider I haven't said anything yet. Obviously, I'm immensely impressed with the efforts and devotion that has made this possible for me to attend this evening's program. Having not been 80 years old before, this is all new to me. I'm delighted that this takes place in Washington. I was going to say this evening takes place in Washington, but every evening takes place in Washington, I guess. But particularly in Washington, I have so many wonderful memories. I've been coming to Washington for many years. And gosh, a few weeks ago, I had lunch at the White House. As I lunch, I was munching on some crackers as I followed the guide around. I played for kings and queens and all kinds of important people. The last U.S. president I played for was Howard Johnson. Lyndon, sorry. Gentleman bird, we used to call him. Yeah, he attended a few of my concerts there, as few as possible, of course. I remember once he was sitting in his box. That was the last concert he attended. He sat in his box, sound asleep. But after the concert, he came up backstage, lifted me up by my ears, and pronounced me a Great Dane. So I bid him. Then he lowered me, and I thanked him for the lift. And I know that many of you will remember, maybe I shouldn't get into this now because there's so much show we have tonight, but I must tell you this. Now, what was it? He used to lift his dog by the ears, the dog's ears, of course. And many of you will remember a picture. There were pictures all over the world in all the press, newspapers and magazines of the President of the United States lifting a dog by its ears. But it wasn't everyone who was amused by a sight of that kind. But he never hurt the animal. He said, he did it for fun, at parties and so. He never hurt the dog, of course. Eventually, he tore the ears off, but I guess that didn't matter much because that dog never came when he called it anyway. Do you care for piano music? Too bad. You know, the temperature here, the climatic situation is doing something to the wood. Look at this piano. This is the lid of the piano. It has shrunk. That's the shame. But it comes in handy if I play, and when I play in the huge tent sometimes, I sit in the center. And then I lift this here. And in case of bad weather, should the tent collapse, this will save my life. Oh, this one is for smaller tents. Yeah. I am immensely impressed by the beauty of this hall. Is this called a hall? Or trap? I don't know what this is. It's beautiful. It's lovely. I hope this will remain forever like this. Well, I'm so excited about this that I'm very seldom nervous when I appear on stage, particularly when the concerts are finished. But this birthday celebration, everyone is so kind to congratulate me. They send flowers, gifts, letters, postcards. That's the cheapest. And really, it is so I was, for instance, playing a Brahms waltz by there are three things I can never remember. What happened? I dreamed, some people say dreamt, but I say dream because that's the way to say it. And it's your language, I'm just trying to use it. I dreamed that I met Mozart in heaven, I think it was. Yeah, the food wasn't very good, but it was, they are worried about cholesterol up there. And most people were there for this. Anyway, so, you know, Mozart was only from here up. Mozart was just like the bust. He was a bust, you know. And he really was. Yeah. But in spite of that physical handicap, the scholars say that he was fairly happily married anyway. So, but Mrs. Mozart wasn't. He told me, he said, I have written a little piece for you, and you can play it when you wish to. And right now, I wish to. play an American composer. See now who is there. Gershwin by George.
Ladies and gentlemen, our mistress of ceremonies, Miss Anna Moffo.
Surely Victor's talent for making people comfortable with classical music is unique in all the world. There is a serious side of Victor Borge, seldom seen on television, but experienced by millions in his concert performances. Borge's ability to interpret and convey the essence of an orchestral work is well known among the players of the world's great orchestras. At the podium, Borge remains the master. Borge's concert version of Bizet's great opera Carmen is a good example of his very, very special talent. Here is Victor to conduct a few excerpts from his Carmen for you tonight. In the first excerpt, he will be joined by Washington's distinguished Paul Hill Chorale and by his good friend, and mine, Robert Merrill, the greatest opera toreador of them all. Ladies and gentlemen, to Victor Borge.
Señor, Señor, car avec les soldats. Soyez les carreros, et mes attendre, pour plaisir, il soleil cabal. L'autre cirque est plein ces jours de fête, le cirque est plein du haut tabac. Les spectateurs, perdent la tête, les spectateurs, c'est magnifique. Cette page, où c'est jusqu'à la fidèle, parce que la fête est du courage, c'est la fête des gens de cœur. Allons, allons, l'amour On fait silence, entre ces passe-t-il. Aprila, rischerza, rida, rischerza, l'autunno se lontano di fuori. Il silence era del brave, a cheval rouge, a traîner a picador. Oh, caboteur, elle est la folle, viens, et capatora sotto dei banderie, plein de filets pour le cirque plein de sang. Oh, ça souffle si les cris, c'est le tour maintenant. Allons, regarde, allons,
Carmen is the story of a young and innocent girl of the countryside, Micaela, and Don Jose, the soldier with whom she falls in love. Jose foolishly falls for the wiles and guiles of the worldly gypsy Carmen. When Don Jose deserts the army to follow Carmen and a band of gypsy smugglers off into the hills, Micaela dares to follow. Alone in dangerous and frightening surroundings, and still hoping to win back Don Jose, she prays for strength and courage in one of the loveliest arias in all of opera. Joining Mr. Borge for the tender and beautiful Micaela's aria will be the talented young soprano, Miss Stephanie Conte.
often been said that the good die young. About Victor, I have no such fears, for he will be wicked and lustful and bad and stay here for hundreds of years. Keep staying, keep playing, Victor, and take the musical terms. Don't be sharp, don't be flat, just be natural. The dance of the comedians. When this ovation has died down, of course. This will be performed without the chorus, as you have noticed. Do you all have the music for this piece? I don't. Do we have a score? Yeah, I thought you were bleeding. I'm sorry. This is the same thing you have. Okay, ladies and gentlemen, this is a wonderful orchestra. Every musician, male or female, or any kind of male, is an artist in her and his own right. Only when we play together we might have a little problem. Okay. Ready? You may talk a little. Can I have a music stand? A music stand, please. Thank you. Hey, which one is the music stand? Oh, this one. Yeah. Must have fertilized him a lot when he was little. Yeah. This is difficult with these old-fashioned things. Oh, gosh, where do I put this one? Well, there are 4 more. Show them this. Show them this.
And I remember when you rescued me when I was captured in Denmark by some herrings. And I hope you have a happy 80th birthday. And I hope you live long enough to dance with George Burns when you're both 129. God bless you.
From his beloved Denmark to his beloved America, to all the civilized continents, Victor Borge's light-hearted approach to great music has inspired great musicians everywhere. And they've learned that true artistry comprises the whole range of emotions, including humor. Today, Borge's philosophy is embraced by many great performers. Among them, the brilliant virtuosi, the world-renowned Canadian brass.
We would like to perform Johann Sebastian Bach's most famous composition, his Little Fugue in G minor. Now, when you have a little fugue, there must then therefore also be a large fugue in G minor, which there is. There's a large fugue in G minor known as the Great Fugue in G minor. But we didn't want Victor to feel that somehow we were going to play this lousy little fugue when we could have played that great fugue, because in fact the little fugue in G minor is equally great as the great fugue is great, and easily could have been called the Great Fugue itself. But you can imagine the confusion if we were to play this and it were named the Great Fugue as is the other. If we played this Great Fugue instead of that, we would be playing that Great Fugue in G minor. It just wouldn't work. So for Victor tonight, we've renamed it the Great Little Fugue in G minor.
Thank you. Since we live in a country that's traditionally Commonwealth, we've had several opportunities to play for the Queen of England. And when you do play for the Queen of England, that's called a command performance. Now, you may or may not know the big difference between a normal performance and a command performance, but the big difference is that for a command performance, you don't get paid. Victor found out early on. I think that's why he came over here so early. But the second time we were invited to perform for the Queen, we wanted to play two pieces of music, one of her favorites, and then, of course, one of ours. It turns out that one of her favorite pieces is the Handel's Hallelujah Chorus from the Messiah. Of course, one of ours is When the Saints Go Marching In. And as it turned out, we didn't really have time to play them both, so we got together and decided, if we were very careful, we could probably play them both together at the same time. So this is our version of the Saints' Hallelujah.
I had in mind to play first of all, I just came back from a trip to Denmark, and we were celebrating in the 97th birthday of a cousin of mine. It was a great celebration. Unfortunately, he wasn't present. Well, he died at 46. But in some of his clothes was found some of my clothes from my youth. And among the things in the pocket was a ticket from a shoemaker, a repairman. And as I was in Copenhagen, I got that little ticket. I went to the place, and it is still there, this shoemaker's shop. It is his grandson now who has taken over. And I walked in, and he didn't look up, so he didn't recognize me, of course. And I didn't know him either, for that matter. So I showed him the ticket. I said, I'd like to have those shoes. And he looked at the ticket, and he said, they will be ready tomorrow. I'm going to play the piece for which I've had most requests during my many, many, many years. And it's with nostalgia that I will try to play it. The last request was in 1926. It was called hemorrhage. Humoresque. That was very funny. As a matter of fact, I have it right here. I always have it in the piano bench because if you have the patience to watch this, I guess you'll have to. There it is. I was right. Thank you. I have promised to do, and I very, very seldom, as a matter of fact, I only do this routine as an encore, but since this already has been a long evening, a long show, consider this an encore. It's phonetic punctuation. Okay, if you don't want it, I'm not going to do it. I invented it many years ago when I first noticed that people who speak together often fail to understand each other clearly. But when we read or write, we use punctuation marks in order to underline the meaning of our sentences. But we do not use them when we speak. So why not integrate punctuation marks in our speech? Then we can underline what we intend to convey to each other verbally. Now, what was all that now? Always get involved in these long speeches. Something is moving around down there. Oh, you are a cameraman. Would you like my picture? I'll teach you how to use the phonetic punctuation. A period will sound like this. A dash. An exclamation point is a vertical dash with a period underneath. So now you know. A comma. Quotation are two commas. Or if you happen to be left-handed. Question mark is a little difficult. And finally the colon, the two little dots, you can put them over each other, you can put them under each other, or you can put them wherever you want to put them. I have a story right here in the beginning of the book, and I shall find it. It's marked so I can't miss it. I think I swallowed them off. I think it was pregnant. At least it could have folded the wings. There's another one. That's the family coming along now. Sorry about that. It's called fast food. In the open window there suddenly came light. Beautiful Eleanor sat alone dreaming of but one thing. 2 years had passed since he met Sir Henry. She could still remember the unhappy evening when her father had thrown him out. They had been sitting in the park, and Henry had said, "Darling, is this the first time you have loved?" He had answered, "Yes. But it is so wonderful that I hope it shall not be the last." Getting a little messy here. Suddenly, she heard a well-known sound. It was he. In 2 strides, he was near her, embraced, kissed, and caressed her. "Henry! What is love?" she asked. He answered, "Well, I couldn't live without." He asked, "I'm sorry, where have your thoughts been?" He answered with thee, my maiden. Suddenly he had gone. All she heard. All she heard was the well-known sound of his departing horse. No way.
All I can tell you is 80th birthday, my jokes are older than that. All my best to you, Victor. We love you.
Victor, happy birthday. From a Connecticut resident who misses you very, very much. Happy birthday, and don't forget to practice.
Here again are Mr. Robert Merrill, Victor Borge.
By my window, the autumn leaves are red and gold. I see your lips, the summer kisses, sunburned eyes I used to hold. Since you went away, the days grow long, and soon I'll hear old winter song. But I miss you most of all, my darling, when autumn leaves start to fall. If by my window the autumn leaves are red and gold, I see your lips, summer kisses, your sunburned hand I used to hold. Since you went away, the days grow long, and soon I'll hear a winter song. But I miss you most of all, my darling, when autumn leaves start to fall.
say that. Afraid of trade, I don't know. Afraid of trade, would you say that?
It is often said that to a concert pianist, the greatest essential is touch. Perhaps no other piano work gives as much context to Victor's wonderful gift as Clair de Lune by Debussy. Let us enjoy what some have called Mr. Borge's magic touch.
That isn't it.
Over the years, some of Victor's comedic routines have poked so much fun at the previously sacred rites of classical music that they have become classics themselves. Tonight, we are privileged to present one of the great Borge classics, the opera recital. Please welcome the distinguished soprano, Madame Marilyn Mulvey, and Mr. Victor Borge.
What's that following you? Oh. Marilyn has decided to sing, and Marilyn is a cagalatura, and has decided to sing. Matter of fact, I wonder what you are going to sing for us tonight. Something not too long. I mean, not that I don't enjoy music or singing, but what happened to your arm? Come to think of Mozart there for a minute. But he was from here off, you know, he was after this. Yeah. What have you decided, Mary?
Yes, tonight I'd like to sing the Caro Nome from Rigoletto.
Oh, God. Thank you. Hands off, please, hands off. Mary will sing the Kagame, the Kaganomi from the opera Rigor Mortis by all means. Who wrote that opera, please?
Giuseppe Verdi.
Why? I mean, yes. Why, yes, indeed. Giuseppe Verdi, Joe Green to you. Probably. Pardon? Of course not. Oh. He says, don't hum along. Why should I hum along? I mean, hands off, please. Marilyn she has a habit of leaning against piano. And it's not such a very good habit because sometimes there might not be a piano next to you. So you wind up on the floor, I mean, or a flute player or something. Just remember that. Ready? Okay, sister, here we go. do have an agreement. She doesn't touch my piano. I don't lay hands on her coloratura. You just said that. I thought you had that fixed. Marilyn, thank you. I'd like to tell the people now who are on the lawn that they have to move because they're going to mow it. Something has to happen all the time. Now, what is this thing here?
Ladies and gentlemen, the Alexandria Harmonizers World Champion Barbershop Chorus. A wolf trap salute such as this one, the gala celebration of a single living artist, has occurred only twice before in the history of our National Park for the Performing Arts. Leonard Bernstein received the wolf trap salute in his 60th birthday year, 1978, and Dizzy Gillespie in his 70th birthday year, 1987. Joining Wolf Trap's chairman, Mr. Earl C. Williams and Mrs. Williams, for presentation of the Wolf Trap Medal and citation are His Excellency, the Ambassador of Denmark to the United States, Peter Divik, and Mrs. Divik. The citation reads in part, the Wolf Trap Foundation salutes Victor Borge, virtuoso musician, humorist, humanitarian, and World Ambassador of Music and Merriment. As we celebrate your 80th birthday, we respectfully present the Wolf Trap Medal for Excellence in the Performing Arts and express the sincere gratitude of your worldwide audience for a lifetime of unique achievement and artistry.
Beautiful. I have nothing to say, except my heart is flowing over. I thank you very, very much. And may every year be a happy year for everybody as you so beautifully expressed in the lovely songs you sang. May those wishes and may the sincerity of the music and the words be a motto for all people, not just in America, but all over the world.
Birthday, Victor. Many, many more.
Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday, dear Victor.
Happy birthday, Victor, and have 2,000 more, okay? I'm Lena. Bye.
My dear Victor, I wish I could be with you today. Warmest congratulations on your 80th birthday.
This is PBS. You're watching KOCE, Huntington Beach, a service of the Coast Community College District.
Aren't we letting that naughty tummy of ours get a little bit out of hand?
Next on Mystery, Rumpole visits the doctor.
No wine. No meat, fish, eggs, bread, butter, milk, sugar, or pastry of any kind.
Rumpole and the Quality of Life on Mystery. Tomorrow evening at 8, here on Channel 50.
Hello, I'm Juliet Prowse, inviting you to join me for an exciting evening of championship ballroom dancing. You'll see the very best ballroom dancers from across the country performing everything from a waltz to a paso doble. Championship ballroom dancing. Watch it.
Saturday at 9 following The Lawrence Welk Show.
In 1913, the Paris premiere ended in a riot.
There was dreadful row. One woman went out of her box and slapped a man who was clapping.
Even the dancers hated it.
For a company who was used to ram-ta-ta-pum-pa-pa-pum-pa-pa-pum-pa-pa, of course it was awfully difficult, and they hated it heartily.
Controversy, scandal, and so Nijinsky's shocking ballet, The Rite of Spring, was abandoned. But now, dance detectives have reconstructed this legendary work. And after more than half a century, you can decide for yourself. Is it a monstrosity or a masterpiece? See the powerful ballet that made dance history in The Search for Nijinsky's Rite of Spring, next time on Great Performances.
Sunday night at 9, here on KOCE 50.
TV was watching
Evening news, rather. If some catastrophe should happen in this hall, can we get on the air from here?
Kill the tape, go to live. You only got 35 seconds.
This is a strange kind of job, particularly to people on the outside. But when you're in it, when you live it, it's a great job. News is a passion.
Live. Ready to tack. Wait for me, though. We have real time. Stand by.
Okay, folks, let's get it.
A Day with Dan Rather is made possible by a grant from the Corporation for Public Broadcasting.
Hello, I'm Andy Friendly, producer of the program you're about to see. At a time when most Americans get most of their news from TV, the role of the network anchorman has become increasingly visible and important. And of all the anchors, no one has watched more than Dan Rather of CBS. Each night, more than 15 million of us around the country tune in Rather's CBS Evening News to find out what's happened that day. Not only is Rather the highest rated anchor in America, he is also the highest paid at more than $2 million a year, and the most talked about and the most private of the network anchors. Rarely does he grant interviews, and never before has he allowed others outside of CBS News to videotape he and his colleagues as they put their broadcast on the air. No restrictions, no conditions. We simply placed a wireless microphone on Rather and his executive producer, Tom Batag, and recorded what happened. We followed them from the CBS Broadcast Center in New York to Omaha, Nebraska, site of last fall's debate or joint appearance by vice presidential candidates Dan Quayle and Lloyd Bentsen. We watched and listened at the people and the process of CBS News, and now we invite you to do the same. So take a look now at the real broadcast news, October 5th, 1988, A Day with Dan Rather.
This one's a good one. And that's tonight's CBS Evening News. Dan Rather. Tomorrow we'll be broadcasting from Omaha, Nebraska, site of the vice presidential joint appearance. Until tomorrow, good night.
Okay. Now, does he have my trench coat?
Yeah.
Okay. Okay. All right, well, let's go. Okay.
Okay, I'll meet you right down
Bill
here.
has got, he's coming with my bag. We may be delayed for just a second or so when we get it. Shall I meet you back down here?
Yeah.
Okay.
I'll meet you
All
right here.
What time, how much time we got?
Well, we've got an hour to take off.
Excuse me, sorry. Al, will you check and make sure somebody that we're covered on the hostage thing? We could be badly out of position here. Make sure, before you leave here, or have Bill make sure, that somebody is on a standby basis, the hostage thing, because I'll be out of touch until probably 10.
You got it.
Okay. Thanks. Sorry, O'Keefe. Right, Hugh. All right, thanks. Yeah. Hi, how you doing? Good, thank you. See you in a couple of days, man. All right, good night, man. Thanks. Thanks, thank you. Good night.
Well, we should meet with the Bush folks and the Dukakis folks, and then head over to the hotel, get our stuff out, and then immediately back for news break. I think the executive producer and the anchorman have a very special relationship. You have to be very good friends. You have to know each other. You have to trust each other. You have to be close. If it's anything other than we're on the same side, two heads are better than one, then it falls apart. Okay, good. Good morning. How are you?
Hi, guys.
Put it together pretty nicely. Damn.
Now, let's pause for a second. What happens here if the worst happens? If a bomb goes off this building, where do we get out? How do we get out? Not only out of the building, but how do we get the story out of here? How many crews have we got here, and from where can we broadcast?
Well, I'm not sure. You guys have a lot of backups. I'm doing the pool here. I don't have any of the ENG crews.
Right. Who else is back here?
NBC is over there, and ABC has a limited presence.
Hogan, and this truck. Editing going on over here. Special events in the newsroom in there, and the East News trailer over here.
Morning. Morning. How you doing? Thank you.
All right.
Here's a small territory.
It's small all, isn't it? It's a small basketball ring, huh? Yeah. Why do I think that wrestling was probably in here last night?
Sunday night. Hulk Hogan and company.
Hulk Hogan was here Sunday night.
Hulk Hogan was somebody. Andre the Giant.
Hulk Hogan versus Moondog Spock.
It was actually Andre the Giant.
Andre the Giant. Versus who?
Well, it wasn't Hulk Hogan. It was Andre the Giant, though.
Andre the Giant versus who?
Some guy with another name that wasn't...
Are you WrestleMania?
Yes.
Hi, Tom. How you doing?
Hi, Tom. Good morning.
How you doing?
Hot questions.
You have hot questions.
Quarter apiece.
Well, I'll tell you, we'll take your Surface 15. Hi, Judy.
Yeah.
How you doing?
We'll take 4 of them.
How are you?
He is the pool, right?
Congratulations.
Thank you. Thank you.
You're the right choice to do it as well. That's my concern when you said, what are we going to do? I mean, we're going to do a half hour. I'm not sure it's worth a half hour. That's what we do. But I'm sure if you've got hot questions, then that'll make it worth it.
This week's quarter apiece.
Well, good luck. Good luck, folks.
Thanks.
Take care. If we can help you, let us know.
It's very straightforward. It's just that you reverse it the way it was before. That's your camera the whole way. Never have to look at the other one unless this one goes down. Guests will be over here. They won't be set, of course, until after the debate.
Well, and we are the same two we had the last time, or no?
That's correct. The 20-second run-through is it's you to get us on the air. Quickly as we come off the debate, it's now 10:02 Eastern Time. Bob and Bruce are right here. We chat for about 3 minutes, tease the special, and adios for an hour and a half.
Huh?
What's up?
I just wanted to reference we're looking to kill out 7 minutes. So the longer the first is, the better off we're.
Well, okay, if we had to do it right now, we'd lead with the debate, have a stall piece to buttress the main debate piece. Who does the main debate piece, or is stall to be the main debate piece? That's it.
Stall is the main debate. With all the reservations.
Now, let me tell you what my concern is about this case. One, I'm concerned we're going to overplay this debate in tonight's broadcast. It's an important story. It may be our lead, but we're in some real danger of overplaying this, I think. I don't happen to believe that Western civilization hangs in the balance with this debate. Now, back to if we had to do this hour early on, we have a first section that does with the debate. So, and then do we try to put Chile, whatever the results are from that election, in the first section, or are we now thinking of that as second section piece?
Think of it as second section because you need to preserve Chile as the potential lead for the last replay on the coast.
All right, if we have the debate in the first section, Chile in the second section, Tom, what do we put in the third? If we had to do it right now. I wouldn't want this job if I were not managing editor of the broadcast in addition to being the anchor person. The greatest satisfaction for me, the greatest fun for me, the real joy for me is in putting the broadcast together. The least of it for me is when the red light goes on and we're on the air. I enjoy that, but not nearly as much as putting the broadcast together. That deciding what stories we're going to cover, what stories go into the broadcast, the difficult arithmetic of trying to squeeze what the world's best broadcast news organization has gathered over the past 24 hours into 22 minutes is one hell of a challenge. It's exhilarating, and I take a lot of pleasure in it, but it's also one of those things that we take seriously. We try not to take ourselves seriously, but that we take seriously. I wish we had an hour to do the broadcast, but we don't. We have a half hour and less commercials, that's 22 minutes. And there are plenty of days when I walk away saying, boy, we left out a lot of important stuff, or we didn't choose the right stuff to go in the broadcast. What we do here is a humbling experience every day, because we are aware of how many times we could have done it better. Our problem is, we got Chile and Korea for how much of the broadcast? Chile's going to cost us about 2.5. Korea's going to cost us, what, 3?
Chile won't cost you 2.5, but Korea will cost you 3+. You're talking about 5.15, 5.20.
Well, I'm going to show me basis of Korea, but if we had to do it now, we have the debate in the first section, Chile in the second section, let's say the drought third section.
That's a good piece.
Braver with affirmative action in the fourth section, and we close with Korea, with Tanel and the hostages out there spinning something.
Also out spinning is the abortion, the continuing abortion demonstrations in Atlanta that may go someplace. There's also a braver piece that we could play off of that.
Did we have an opening of that yesterday?
Yeah.
What the hell's going on down there?
We're enjoying it now because we know the pressure is building and that we're running out of time, and that sense of growing excitement adds a great deal. Clearly what's going to happen between now and airtime is that we become more and more focused, and you put the blinders on, and there's only one thing in your entire life, that broadcast, and you try to shut everything else out of your mind and say, what mistakes am I making? What could go wrong?
15 seconds.
What's the score in the ball game?
Standing by.
1-0 Sox.
6 seconds. In 5, 4, 3.
Good afternoon from CBS News. This is Newsbreak. Dan Rather reporting from the Civic Auditorium in Omaha, Nebraska. This is where it will happen tonight, the high-stakes, one and only joint appearance of the vice presidential candidates. A short time ago... News is a passion. It isn't just a job. And if you live it, if you love news, then it isn't difficult. It isn't difficult to keep your concentration. It isn't difficult to move from one thing to another. Now, I've been a reporter since I was 15 years old, and a lot of it comes as second nature. Particularly if you serve a long apprenticeship as a reporter. In daily journalism, that's the way it is. You move from one thing to another fairly quickly. You have to shift your concentration all the time.
The other thing, do they have a shelf piece ready to go? We're 100 seconds from air here.
We have Israel's new debate. It's all queued up. It can go if you don't.
Should be fully funded. Make sure that they're...
Well, she'll tell us something here.
Also, during their past two administrations, taking over after the Democratic.
All right, but let's get it straight. Do we think we're doing this live?
I'd like to do it over live. Okay, so could we get over to Dan? We're going to do it live.
All right, Carol? Then we'll be ready, but we only got 40 seconds for that.
We're hearing it loud and clear, but they're rolling a tape to you, Joanne. It's not live. Carol. Yes.
Kill the tape, go to live. You only got 35 seconds.
Yes.
Carol, tell them to kill the tape feed. We'll do it live, beginning in 32 seconds.
33 seconds to air.
Okay. Now, Carol, I'm going to get my cues from one person only, and that's going to be you.
Carol. I'm going to give Janice cues. Okay, I need my stopwatch.
So, time to win here.
Yes.
Okay.
Okay, I'll give you a hand cue.
Dan Rather reporting. News, commentary, and analysis. Broadcasting live today from the sun-splashed and hospitable confines of Omaha, Nebraska. What you may be hearing in the background are the stand-ins for Senators Quayle and Benson going through an audio rehearsal. In a few hours, it'll be the candidates themselves standing up at that podium and having you judge how they did. Today, live from Omaha, Nebraska, Dan Rather reporting. CBS News.
On the nose. Exactly.
Thank you.
Yeah, okay.
Assuming a minute 10 under, assuming that we take Browning into... Dan, why don't you pull in here? We're trying to make a bunch of decisions here. And we're trying to stay out of the sun there a little bit. Here's our problem. That's perfect. A little over 2, is that perfect? We're a minute 10 under. Is she joshing us? Can they really do it? We really like what we've got. This is Bonnie Sutter coming back again saying, I know that arms have been traded for hostages.
To the mad Iranians.
To the Iranians, and the White House saying, absolutely no way. It's not...
Okay. All right, that's the second section. Yeah. I got it. Chile, third section. We still don't have results from the Chilean election.
No. We could flip Chile and White House.
No, I like the way it is. I like the way it is. We'll stay in touch with you, see. Now, in the fourth section, then we got braver on affirmative action, Browning or Michelangelo?
Now, what we're talking about is putting Blackstone in place of Browning. We're a minute 10 light. We gain about 45 if we do that. We got room for it.
I understand.
And it's hot off the ground.
And then we would close with Courier and the Drought Harvest.
The Drought Harvest. Turn Browning into a voiceover.
Look, this is not even close. I like it. Do it.
The important thing here is for you to eat. If you don't get your lunch eaten by 6 o'clock, we're not going to get this show on the air.
You're all heart, Thomas.
You do? Yeah.
I don't think that's snotty. I think that's really what's happening here, don't you?
I kind of like it. It's tough.
But true.
Well, true. It's tough but not snotty, as we say.
Oh, I could read it snotty.
You think you could lay it on? You could.
That would be wrong. That would be wrong.
Little snot factor in it? Thank you. 3 minutes to air.
Right. Hold up and it's on tape, right? Right.
Okay. I do. We need to raise the audio just a little, Reggie. Now, where are the danger places here in this broadcast?
The danger place is the top. Just there's so much going on. They're just going to take concentration.
Well, you weren't around here for the great radio.
Yeah, I caught.
But that's what concerns me.
No 2T.
Can you do me a favor, have Rich and everybody check out facilities, because that's the only thing here that we're concerned with. Okay, we'll get this done. I feel comfortable with this.
30 seconds to air. 30 seconds. Okay, we have a cold open coming out, animation, and then good evening.
Right. 10 seconds. Open up there, full 9. There you are, right? 7, 6, 5. Ready to tighten. Wait for me, though. We have a little time. Stand by.
Okay, folks, let's get it.
Here we go.
This is the CBS Evening News. Dan Rather reporting tonight from the Civic Auditorium in hospitable Omaha, Nebraska. Good evening. Tonight's the night Senators Lloyd Benson and Dan Quayle appear here for their one and only scheduled joint appearance of the campaign. CBS News correspondent Leslie Stahl begins our coverage of what could be a critical night in this presidential campaign.
2:38. Bruce and Bob, in please.
Putting down the phone for one.
Yeah. You got any choice about who goes first? Yeah.
Yes, Bruce takes the first question, and he responds, and then the second question, Bob goes first, and Bruce responds to him.
Okay. With me here in Omaha is our Chief CBS News political correspondent, Bruce Morton, and our Chief Washington correspondent, Bob Schieffer. Bruce and Bob, are we in danger of making too much of this? It is, after all, a joint appearance by the vice presidential candidates.
Well, I think usually that might not be of great account, but I think it is this time.
We're not always as clean and slick on the air as maybe somebody else is. But I'll pay that price to keep ourselves right up to the second. So we sometimes do change the lead right up airtime. Tom will just say, listen, I think we need to switch Chile in the debate. Say, okay, let's do it. But everybody has their own way of doing it. This is our way of doing it. We stay loose right until the last minute. We sometimes shift stories during the broadcast. We don't like to do that, but sometimes we shift them during the broadcast.
You're going to hate this, but we're going to kill Michelangelo to tell baseball. Do you think more people care about Michelangelo or baseball?
You know, naturally I won't.
That's
I'm
poetic.
serious. The Michelangelo pictures are pretty good, then leave it in.
No. That's poetic justice. That's as it should be. If you had a choice between Michelangelo and baseball... No.
Do we have a picture? Do we have the Michelangelo picture?
Yeah.
I'm serious.
No.
Leave it in.
No. This is...
I'm serious. Leave Michelangelo in.
Oh, is that right?
Leave it in. I'm serious.
Right.
I'm serious.
45 seconds.
Because I think see the picture was maybe worth something. I really do.
Yep.
And I'll work the other into my clothes. How's that? In Washington, D.C., the National Gallery of Art unveiled a two-faced, centuries-old secret today. On display was a well-known drawing of Cleopatra attributed to the Italian master Michelangelo in the early 16th century. But on the reverse side of the same sheet of paper is another Michelangelo drawing of Cleopatra, revealed only last summer when a backing was removed. The Oakland Athletics beat the Boston Red Sox 2-1 this afternoon to open the best-of-7 American League playoff. Game 2 of the National League playoff is later tonight with the New York Mets leading the Los Angeles Dodgers now 1-0. Okay, let's double check. You're going to give me a 10 countdown with a 6-second cheat.
And a 10 with a 5 cheat.
Okay, thanks.
Yep. Minute and a half to live. Best? Okay, let's go, Dan. Hey, Jeff, it's Walt. He's got time. He's got a minute.
This is CBS News continuing coverage of Campaign 88. Tonight, a vice presidential debate. From the Civic Auditorium in Omaha, Nebraska, here is Dan Rather.
Good evening and welcome to CBS News coverage from the Civic Auditorium here in beautiful Omaha, Nebraska, heartland of tonight's joint appearance of the vice presidential candidates.
I have as much experience in the Congress as Jack Kennedy did when he sought the presidency.
Senator, I served with Jack Kennedy. I knew Jack Kennedy. Jack Kennedy was a friend of mine. Senator, you're no Jack Kennedy.
With me here to talk about what happened as the two candidates are congratulated by their wives, Bruce Morton and Bob Sheehan. Bob, best moments and worst moments for each of the two.
All right, get ready for the next broadcast.
5 seconds.
We'll take a break before we do it.
3.
No, it's all in this section.
Good evening and welcome back to the Civic Auditorium here in Omaha, Nebraska. Tonight's showdown between the vice presidential candidates, Senator Dan Quayle and Senator Lloyd Bentsen, has been over for some 90 minutes. Already they're clearing away the stage. The place is barely recognizable from what it was a short time ago. But some of the smoke has yet to clear from this 10,000-seat arena. You know, you always hope that you'll have your very best day. You hope you have a perfect day. This was not a perfect day. It wasn't our very best day. But we did all right. And one of the joys of daily journalism is we play every day. Hey, we play again tomorrow. But I'm not disappointed. We worked hard today, and a lot of things did work today. Now, I hope I can do it one more day. It's impossible for me to express to you how much I enjoy doing this and how fulfilled I feel doing it.
Trying to figure out a way.
So every day I do it is a terrific up for me. And I always hope I can just do it one more day. Now, you can't, listen, nobody does it forever. And I don't know how long it goes. I know all my life I'll be a reporter. I mean, that I'm certain of. When you say, well, if you weren't doing this, what else would you be doing? I'd be reporting somewhere, somehow. If they kicked me out of this job tomorrow, and the best I could do was be the AP bureau chief in Odessa, Texas, well, I'd go do that. I know that the worst that it gets for me is better than the best it gets for an awful lot of people. But among the things you have to make your peace with is you spend a lot of time on the road. As I said once before to you today, it's tough to win on the road. And it's tough to win with yourself. That is, you spend a lot of time alone, and you spend a fair amount of time on the telephone with your family, and you wish you were with them. Now, both my children are grown now, and they have lives of their own. But those are the kinds of things, the kind of sacrifices that you make, and the kind of, if you're lucky, balance you have to work extra hard to bring to your life when you have this kind of job. It is so all-consuming. You have to be very careful that you don't let it become totally, completely addictive, in which everything else in your life drops off the side. So you have to always be careful of that. I haven't always done a good job of that. You have to learn to handle that. And that can also be corrosive. And if you don't watch it, it can distort you. For now, Dan Rather in Omaha, with thanks to our hosts here in the good city of Omaha. We'll see you tomorrow. Okay. Thanks, folks.
It's a wrap out here.
Thanks. Thank you very much, Corky. Terrific. Thanks, everyone. Great. Nice job.
Thank you, Dan.
Good job, man.
Okay, that'll be the main camera.
See you now, Joe. I have to get down there. Important things. Won't get about the Mets trading 5-1.
I don't know. Is that what you heard?
That's what I heard, but I don't know. Obviously, not. I'll see you later. Take care.
Station, 40 miles down the road, a small station. I was
radio station or
television.
Is there any way I could ask you a couple questions real quick? Oh, I'll tell you, I'm out of it. Okay. You have your recorder? They're set up right there. Yeah. Well, let's go. We'll try it. If we do it quickly, try to get it done. I appreciate the fact you hustle to get it. They want people not to give memorized answers that the best advertising minds in the country feed to them. I think they want to talk real substance, a lot more than real substance is talked here tonight. And don't read that as being critical of either one of the candidates. It is critical of what is billed as a debate, but everybody knows in their heart that it isn't really a debate. It's kind of a controlled dual news conference. That's what I think. I may be wrong. I'm often wrong, but that's what I think. I'm going to be on my way. Thanks a lot. Take care of yourself. Good night. Good night. Good night. Good night. Yeah. Sure. Yes, hi. Hi.
My name is Patrick. I'm a journalism student at the University of Kansas.
Hi, Patrick.
You know, there seems to be some kind of comfortableness that you all have in front of the camera.
You know what it is? It's practice. It's like you play basketball.
Occasionally, yeah.
Well, you know how it is with free throws. You have to stand there every day and shoot, hundreds of free throws. And a lot of it's just practice. But I know about dreams, and I hope you realize your dream.
Thank you very much.
Okay. Good luck.
Bye-bye.
Good night.
I don't know whether you saw Bull Durham or not. In the film, all the guys in AAA baseball are saying, listen, in the big show, it's different. Well, in broadcast journalism, this is a big show, and it is different.
Main thing is that now we get back to the main road, which we got, 33 days left. Yeah. Now, what are you going to do? You going to go back home?
Yeah. What plane are we on tomorrow morning?
I don't know, early.
Yeah, I know that.
I think 6:15 or so, but we'll find something out. Kill the tape, go to live. You only got 35 seconds. Carol, tell them to kill the tape feed. We'll do it live, beginning in 32 seconds.
32 seconds to air.
Okay. Now, Carol, I'm going to get my cues from one person only, and that's going to be you.
Get Janice cues. Okay, I need my stopwatch.
So, time to win here.
Yes.
Dan Rather reporting. News, commentary, and analysis. Broadcasting live today from the sun-splashed and hospitable confines of Omaha, Nebraska. What you may be hearing in the background are the stand-ins for Senators Quayle and Benson going through an audio rehearsal. In a few hours, it'll be the candidates themselves standing up at that podium and having you judge how they did.
A Day with Dan Rather is made possible by a grant from the Corporation for Public Broadcasting.
This is PBS. You're watching KOCE, Huntington Beach, a service of the Coast Community College District.
Aren't we letting that naughty tummy of ours get a little bit out of hand?
Next on Mystery, Rumpole visits the doctor.
No wine. What? No meat. Fish, eggs, bread, butter, milk, sugar, or pastry of any kind.
Rumpole and the Quality of Life on Mystery. Tomorrow evening at 8, here on Channel 50.
Hello, I'm Juliette Prowse, inviting you to join me for an exciting evening of championship ballroom dancing. You will see the very best ballroom dancers from across the country performing everything from a waltz to a paso doble. Championship ballroom dancing. Watch it.
Saturday night at 9, here on KOCE 50.
In 1913, the Paris premiere ended in a riot. Even the dancers hated it.
For a company who was used to ram-ta-ta-pum, pa-pa-pum, pa-pa-pum, pa-pa, of course it was awfully difficult, and they hated it heartily.
But now, after more than half a century, you can decide for yourself. Is it a monstrosity or a masterpiece? Follow the search for Nijinsky's Rite of Spring. Next time on Great Performances.
Join us Sunday at 9. Plan your semester class load now. Spring courses at Golden West College begin the week of January 22nd. Spring semester class schedules are now available, which outline 120 career programs and more than 1,700 courses. Go west for quality education. The Nightly Business Report on KOCE is made possible by Unicare Insurance Company, specialist in workers' compensation insurance. Working with independent brokers, Unicare provides professional claims service and accident prevention programs for major California employers.
In our report, Campo comes up with cash for its suppliers.
AT&T charges MCI with unfair tactics.
And the Bulls cry foul on Wall Street as the Dow drops more than 15 points.
The Nightly Business Report, made possible by Digital Equipment Corporation, providing customers with the computing resources to facilitate easy, efficient teamwork across the entire enterprise. A.G. Edwards, members of the New York Stock Exchange, serving individuals and businesses through more than 380 locations. A.G. Edwards, investment since 1887. And by the financial support of viewers like you. The Nightly Business Report is produced in association with Reuters, the world's largest electronic publisher.
Good evening. The owner of 10 major retail chains, Campo Corporation, says the checks are in the mail to pay off bills due today from shippers of Christmas merchandise. Those bills reportedly total $130 million. And many suppliers have threatened to cut off shipments if the stores couldn't meet their obligations. But while Campo has apparently managed to squeak by its latest funding crisis, the firm today accepted the resignation of its chief financial officer, Russell Davis. And many believe the next head to fall in the shakeout could be that of Chairman Robert Campo, as Howard Green reports from Toronto.
Spring 1988. Canadian businessman Robert Campo had the air of royalty. He'd just bought Federated department stores, including the posh Bloomingdale's chain. This on top of his purchase of Allied department stores in 1986. The total value of the two deals, a brazen $10 billion, financed by junk bonds. But with Campo firmly in the saddle.
There's only one control in Campo Corporation, that's the Campo family. We have 54%. You can only have one control, you can't have two. There's only one, Campo family.
Today, however, his world has the odor of bankruptcy. There's a mountain of debt, retail sales haven't met expectations, suppliers are afraid to ship to Campo stores, and junk bond holders are holding more junk than bonds.
I think there's no question that he paid too much. He paid too much for Federated. Had he stopped at Allied, he'd have been okay. But instead, you get a man whose ego very much interferes with his life and his business sense, and he paid too much money.
Campo, with his 8th grade education, made his first big money in construction. Capitalizing on ties with former Canadian Prime Minister Pierre Trudeau, Campo built huge chunks of downtown Ottawa before moving into Toronto and the United States. But the Campo empire began to unravel last September when the company started to suffocate under monstrous debts. Cash flow didn't meet projections, and the department stores were forced to lay off thousands of employees. Campo was bailed out by Toronto's billionaire Reifman family through its real estate company, Olympia and York, but at a hefty price. The Reifmans effectively took control of the company Robert Campo founded, and they wanted Bloomingdale's put on the block. However, it remains unsold. This month, Campo himself took another hit. A Canadian bank seized about half his voting shares when his personal holding companies defaulted on loans. Toronto-based analyst Ira Katzen says Robert Campo is out of the picture.
I don't think he has the mega dollars, the mega billions of dollars that are required in order to rescue Campo itself. I'm sure he does have a significant amount of personal assets, but I doubt very much whether they amount to, gazillions of dollars, which is what he needs.
Robert Campo's holding has now been cut to about 21%, down from 54% at the time of the Federated deal. He's had trouble in the past, but never to such a degree. Meanwhile, analysts say everyone is counting on the Reifman family because they have so much at stake in Campo Corporation. In Toronto, this is Howard Green for the Nightly Business Report.
Well, one bankrupt company that's been reported to be having cash flow problems is Eastern Airlines. But in an appearance in Fort Lauderdale today, the chairman of Eastern's parent company, Frank Lorenzo, denied the widely held view that recent fare cuts at Eastern were implemented to raise cash.
With the possible exception of 1 or 2 weeks at Continental Airlines, about 2 or 3 weeks after its bankruptcy in 1983, we have never implemented a fare that was done for cash flow reasons. We put them in because we think there'll be more dollars of revenue on board the airplane.
Lorenzo refused to say whether his company plans to merge Eastern with sister airline Continental, saying that's a very complex issue. Paul?
The downward momentum that sent the Dow Industrial Average tumbling 28 1/3 points yesterday carried over into the opening of the stock market this morning, and adding to fuel to the bearish sentiment was another sharp drop in the Tokyo stock market, coupled with a sell-off in London. Even so, the early downturn on the New York Exchange was fairly well contained, as the industrial average was off only 6.5 points at 11 a.m., and while losing stocks had a wide 2-to-1 lead over gainers, volume was relatively light. Things grew steadily worse over the mid-session hours, however, as traders and investors concluded that the upcoming barrage of fourth-quarter earnings reports would be quite disappointing. This was underscored by the fact that a host of analysts were cutting per-share estimates in many stock groups, especially the banks and major retailers. By noon, the Dow was down nearly 22.5 points, and only 4 stocks were higher for every 10 lower. A rise in gold and a sloppy bond market added to the market's woes in mid-afternoon, and naturally, the computer cowboys galloped into the fray with their sell programs in order to lasso some quick profits. At 3 p.m., the industrial average was down almost 28 points, with 11 stocks off for every 3 up. After several support levels on the Dow were broken earlier, the market finally got some decent buying around the 2730 level, and that set off a last-minute technical rally, which cut the closing loss in the Dow Industrial Average to 15.36, putting it at 2750.64. Theoretical high of the day almost to the 2773 level, and the low down around 2725, a little less than a 50-point range. Trading volume on the sell-off disappointingly inched up from yesterday's level, 176 million shares, and down volume exceeded up volume by about 2.5 times. The Dow Transport's down nearly 12 points. Utility index, for the first time in 6 sessions, managed to gain 0.88. They lost 12 points in the previous 5 sessions. The Dow 65 off a little over 5.5 points, and the closing tick of plus 230, indicating the improvement near the final bell. Standard & Poor's 500, 400, 100, all better than 2-point losses. The Commodity Research Bureau March Index was up 0.65. New York Stock Exchange Index fell almost 1.25 points, nearly a 1.75 point drop in the value line, and the Wilshire 5000 off nearly 25.5 points. Well, with all the talk of a slowing economy and weakening corporate profits, the bond market attracted some cautious buyers today, especially after the Fed funds rate eased a touch below 8% at one stage. Much of the caution was due to apprehension over how today's offering of 7-year Treasury notes would be received, but as it turned out, the auction went fairly well, as the notes were priced to yield an average 8.02%. Although tax-frees ended with no change and corporates fell 1/4 point, longer-term governments managed to close with small fractional gains, like the 30-year Treasuries, edging up 2/32. Shearson Lehman Long Treasury Bond Index, as a result, was up 0.40, and Fed funds closed at a flat 8%, the lowest we've seen in quite a while. I'll be back shortly to show you where the action was on Wall Street today.
On the precious metals markets, gold climbed $8, in part because of the Soviet Union's decision to double its prices for gold jewelry. The dollar closed at a 15-week high against the yen, despite reports of central bank intervention to support the Japanese currency. But the pound rose more than 1/2 cent against the greenback. And oil prices rose in New York and London on news of a lowering of U.S. oil supplies. The government has charged a Minneapolis lawyer with making $4.3 million in illegal profits as a result of inside information about the takeover of Pillsbury. The Securities and Exchange Commission claims James O'Hagan, a partner in a law firm which helped in the takeover, learned of Grand Metropolitan's takeover plans and then bought shares of Pillsbury common stock and options. The SEC also alleges that O'Hagan secretly diverted $1 million from a client's account to pay for the transaction. O'Hagan's law firm says it's cooperating fully with the SEC.
The Justice Department today went to court in an attempt to block Gillette from going through with its planned buyout of Wilkinson Sword's razor blade business. The department says the combination could pose a threat to the competition in the U.S. razor blade market, where Gillette accounts for about half of the $700 million in annual sales, while Wilkinson has about a 3% share. Gillette said it was surprised and disappointed at the Justice Department's action. It said that Wilkinson is not a significant competitive factor in the United States and is being sought by Gillette for its global potential.
In the competition for long-distance telephone service, AT&T is crying foul concerning the tactics of its leading rival, MCI Communications. In a federal lawsuit filed today, AT&T charges MCI with using a variety of unfair and deceptive moves to sign up long-distance customers, as New York correspondent Scott Gervey reports.
It is a consumer fraud lawsuit of gigantic proportions. AT&T is accusing rival MCI of slamming. That means stealing customers by telling local phone companies to switch their long-distance service without authorization.
AT&T, may I help you?
In a separate action, AT&T is asking the Federal Communications Commission to require a written request to change long-distance carriers. Right now, verbal authorization is allowed. The suit against MCI and its telemarketing arm, Pioneer Teletechnologies, also charges they misrepresented facts to induce AT&T customers to switch. In some cases, even saying AT&T was going out of business.
People who have experienced this switching or who have experienced deceptive or fraudulent claims made to them over the telephone in the course of someone trying to win them away from AT&T, they've come back to us and said, AT&T, you ought to do something about this, and have asked us to support and come to their aid, and we're doing that.
AT&T says it has received thousands of customer complaints. It says they often come from elderly and Spanish-speaking customers. AT&T says the practice has cost it tens of millions of dollars. MCI denies the charges.
Our reaction was both one of surprise, but on the other hand, after thinking about it, it's been the way that AT&T has been responding to competition on a number of fronts.
Long distance is a $60 billion a year business, and it is growing at a rate of 10% a year. AT&T still has 67% of the market. MCI has 15%. U.S. Sprint, 10%. In a $60 billion market, tens of millions isn't even pocket change. Analysts say with this action, a newly aggressive AT&T is trying to send a message.
The typical David-Goliath kind of relationship won't always remain intact, and every once in a while Goliath, decides to fight back.
The lawyers say it may take 2 years for this suit to come to trial. Meanwhile, AT&T says it has received complaints about other long-distance carriers, and it will be keeping a close watch on them. In New York, Scott Gervey for the Nightly Business Report.
In a deal that will create Europe's largest computer maker, German electronics giant Siemens says it is buying a controlling interest in German computer company Nixdorf. Siemens will reportedly pay about $600 million to merge its data and information technology businesses with those of Nixdorf, which has suffered steep losses in recent years because of fierce competition and management problems. The West German government is expected to require Siemens to sell some of its telecommunications businesses before allowing the deal to go ahead. Jim?
U.S. computer maker Hewlett-Packard today introduced 24 new computer systems, which the company says triple the performance of its high-end computer lines. As a result, Hewlett-Packard says the new HP 3000 and 9000 systems will be able to offer performance comparable to those of mainframe computers, but at much lower costs.
Incidentally, Hewlett's stock closed unchanged at 47 today. The Dow Jones Industrial Average closed down for the second session running, but a lot better than it was in mid-afternoon when it was off over 30 points, down 15.36 on the close. But a lot more issues down than up, better than twice as many, and for the first time in many sessions, two more new lows than new highs. We haven't seen that for a while. Topping the active list on 3.7 million shares, Citicorp down a quarter in that weak banking group. Philip Morris off a half. The tobacco stocks remain weak on fear of new smokers' lawsuits against the companies. United Telecom fell 1 1/8. Saw no news to accompany that. The Germany fund easily scored a record high today, up 3 1/4. These single-country mutual funds, closed-end funds, are doing very well. Of course, Barron's had a very positive article with Barton Biggs of Morgan Stanley saying that this is the place to go. GE edged up an 1/8 point today. American Telephone down a quarter. You just heard the news about the lawsuit. And then Central Maine Power was unchanged. IBM slipping 3/8 of a point, as did General Motors. General Motors' H stock, incidentally, was down 2 3/8 on concerns about earnings projections. Bristol Myers Squibb up 3/4, even though it's going to take a sizable write-off with its merger with Squibb. AMR, parent company of American Airlines, down 1 1/4. The Morgan Stanley brokerage today cut earnings estimates on American, Delta, Southwest, and United. ASA Limited, gold up $8 in New York. That's ASA Limited, the South African gold up 2 3/8 as a result. Delta Air down 1 5/8. The company itself says second quarter earnings will be lowered due to higher fuel costs. Disney down 3 3/4. There were some ruminations on the street today about lower theme park attendance figures. Nothing specific, though. Newmont Mining up 2 3/4. It has gold interest and got an added boost from a buy recommendation from the Drexel Burnham brokerage. Meade Corporation down 2 points. Drexel Burnham downgraded that. And then Quaker Oats falling 1 5/8 after Goldman Sachs cut 90 and 91 earnings projections. The Brazil Fund and Helvetia Fund, which invests in Swiss stocks, both performing very well. These single country stock, closed-end stock funds doing very, very well. AVX Corporation up 1 1/2 and Kyocera up 2 5/8. The two companies are, looks like they are going to merge. AVX will get about 4/10 of a share of Kyocera on that stock swap deal. Prime Motor Inns down 2 1/4 points. Forbes magazine said it has questions about the company's bookkeeping methods and also questions the relatively high price of its stock. And Shearson Lehman today also downgraded Prime Motor Inns to a sell. Ames Department Stores down 7/8. The company said despite pretty good Christmas sales, it's still going to have a full-year loss. Over the American Exchange, a loss of 2.15 in the market value index, and volume perked up a bit, a little better than 2 million shares from yesterday's pace. 215 issues higher, 367 lower. BAT topped the active list on 1 million shares, no change. DWG up another 1 3/8 after a similar gain yesterday. No specific news. It has been mentioned as a takeover target. Texas Air off an 1/8. Echo Bay Mines and Canadian Gold up 3/4, as was OMI Corp. Lazar Kaplan, the diamond merchant, up 1 1/4 points. The company came in with 6-month earnings ending in November of 61 cents, up from 11 cents the previous year on a 30% sales gain. Presidential Realty down 1 1/4. Major shareholder Jack Stewart has cut his stake in the company from 12.5% to 10.5%. NASDAQ trading, a big loss in the composite index, 6.07, and trading volume up over 12 million shares from yesterday's pace, 762 higher, 1334 lower, and the 100 index fell 9 1/4 points. MCI Communications down 1 1/8. Some concern about that lawsuit from AT&T. Intel down a point. Lynn Broadcasting fell 1/4. Oracle Systems off 1 1/8. Stan Weinstein, the professional tape reader, reiterated a sell recommendation there. Apple Computer off 1 5/8. Microsoft dropping 2 1/2. McCaw Cellular down 1 1/4. Safeco off 2 1/4. Telecommunications A fell 3/8. And St. Paul companies completing this sea of blizzard of minus signs down 1/4. Profit Systems, now there's a pleasant gain, up 1 5/8. LEP Group of England is bidding $12 a share to take the company over. Pioneer Hybrid International down 1 3/4 points. The company says Wall Street earnings estimates are too strong. And finally, Greyhound Electronics down 1 point. Apparently, Lermer Group has yet to sign a contract for its no-fire product, and so that would give the company a $50 million estimate on its revenues coming up. My street critique guest tonight is Michael Murphy, editor of the market letter entitled The Overpriced Stock Service, and it's based in San Francisco, but we were lucky enough to catch him for an interview at our New York City studios. And I first asked Mike if, as the name of his letter would suggest, the majority of stocks are overpriced currently.
A little, Paul. Based on the fundamentals, earnings, dividends, and book value, the Dow Jones average is just 100, 150 points overvalued. But earnings already are heading down, and they'll be down about 10% this year, so there isn't going to be any support from that direction.
Well, Mike, the way you make money is not just by selling stocks you may own, but by selling them short. Give our viewers who aren't familiar with that procedure a brief description of what that involves.
It's the mirror image of going long, Paul. You simply call up your stockbroker, you borrow the stock and sell it short. After the stock goes down, you buy it back, and you keep the profits, and you return the shares to whoever you borrowed them from.
The same number of shares, except it costs you cheaper to replace them.
That's right.
All right. Now, why the bearishness now? Is it just from a technical standpoint or fundamentally?
No, it's fundamentals, Paul. We think the economy is clearly slowing, and we are going into this slowdown with unprecedented levels of debt, unprecedented trade deficit. Corporations have gotten themselves very seriously leveraged up while their underlying return on assets really hasn't improved at all.
What did you do from 82 to 87 in the big bull market?
Actually, we did all right. You know, last year, Paul, which was a great year for stocks, over 200 stocks on the New York Stock Exchange were down more than 25%. Our record for the history of the newsletter is about 4 out of 5 recommendations work out, and the average annual return is in the low 40s, low 50s.
Okay. Now, what stocks are vulnerable at this stage?
The defense stocks obviously are vulnerable. We've got a couple of shorts in there, McDonnell Douglas and Northrop. We think in general you want to not be shorting energy-type stocks, but you want to go concentrate on things like the big consumer growth stocks that have been so overbought, the Coca-Colas, the Philip Morrises.
So you're looking for a real bear market coming in here. What is the downside projection for the Dow?
Our guess is the Dow's going to trade this year between 2,200 and 3,000, and you're going to see the 2,200 before you see the 3,000.
Okay. Mike, thanks very much for those, I guess, for those bearish words, but we appreciate the information. Mike Murphy of the Overpriced Stock Service.
The Soviet-led trading group Comecon wrapped up a two-day meeting in Bulgaria today with an agreement to adopt a trading system based on world market prices and a convertible currency. The decision by leaders of Comecon's 10 member nations marks a significant departure from the barter system the group has relied on for the past 40 years. But members stress the change will be gradual as East European countries cope with new economic and political systems at home. A Bulgarian official says the group will begin implementing the transition to hard currency next year.
Coming up, commentator Adam Smith looks at the connection between the airline ticket tax and the federal budget deficit. The head of the Resolution Trust Corporation, the government agency that's charged with disposing of insolvent savings and loans, today responded to critics who say the agency has been moving too slowly. William Seidman says he expects the RTC to sell another 15 to 20 thrifts by the end of this month, but he adds the agency is stymied by a lack of working capital while it sells the assets of failed institutions.
We have disposed of 33 institutions. We've sold $6.5 billion worth of property. Everyone would like to see this get done very promptly. On the other hand, you remember the bank board was criticized for doing 200 transactions in 1 month because we were very costly. So we want to do it carefully and in a business-like way. And we're gearing up to be the largest real estate vendor in the history of the world, and that takes a little time.
In a development that helped to shore up the junk bond market today, RJR Nabisco said that it completed the sale of its Del Monte unit for $1.5 billion. Now, the sale to a group headed by Merrill Lynch substantially completes RJR's plan to reduce the debt incurred in its leveraged buyout through asset sales. And one junk bond analyst says that the sale bodes well for RJR's proposed offering of $1.25 billion in new debt.
Federal Aviation Administration Chief James Busey says he may consider allowing airports to charge a per-person departure fee. In an interview with the New York Times, Busey said the time may be right for a new user fee to pay for airport improvements because current funding is inadequate. And in tonight's commentary, author Adam Smith, host of Adam Smith's Money World, looks at some problems with another government plan to raise money for expanding the nation's air transport system.
You may not be aware of it, but every dollar you spend on an airline ticket includes an 8% tax. That tax will bring in nearly $3.5 billion this year. Now the Bush administration wants to raise the tax to 10%. This is really Alice in Wonderland. The airline tax goes to the Aviation Trust Fund, and the Aviation Trust Fund is supposed to go to the infrastructure that helps us maintain a first-world aviation system, computers, air traffic controllers, airport improvements. But the money that's in the Aviation Trust Fund doesn't go for the computers and the air traffic controllers. It sits there, much of it, $7 billion right now. Why does it sit there? Don't we need air traffic control? Yes, we do, but you see, if you don't spend the money, the government bookkeepers can count that money against the budget deficit. So the next time you're sitting on the runway with a half hour of air traffic delay, remember that Congress won't even spend the money that you already paid on last year's air tickets. Clearly, if you pay a transportation tax, you ought to get a system for your money.
But beyond that, this is symptomatic with what's wrong with the United States government. Year after year, we don't raise the money we need. Instead, we borrow it. If we borrow it from airline passengers, in effect, we borrow it also from Japanese life insurance companies because they're the biggest buyers of our Treasury notes and bills. Without them, we'd have a lot of trouble opening the post office on Monday morning. Because we can continue to borrow, we never quite face up to what we're doing. We do need a national air transportation system, and we better get going because we're pumping twice the number of passengers through the same number of airports we had in 1974. Fine, let's have it. Not yet another bookkeeping gimmick to disguise the deficit. I'm Adam Smith.
Recapping tonight's top stories, Campo comes through with cash for its suppliers, but isn't out of the financial woods yet.
The Bears find themselves in their neck of the woods on Wall Street as the Dow Jones Industrial Average loses more than 15 points to close at 2,750.64.
And looking ahead to tomorrow, commentator Lester Thoreau will look at the prospect of Europe emerging as the leading world power in the next century.
And that's it for this edition of the Nightly Business Report for Wednesday, January 10th.
Now, for Linda, Paul, and all of us on the Nightly Business Report, I'm Jim Wicks. Good night.
This program is produced in association with Reuters, the world's largest electronic publisher, which provides a nightly business report with news, market data, and communications services worldwide. And is made possible by A.G. Edwards, providing financial services through more than 380 locations. A.G. Edwards, a century-old tradition of putting the customer first. Digital Equipment Corporation, providing customers with the computing resources to facilitate easy, efficient teamwork across the entire enterprise. And by the financial support of viewers like you. For a transcript of this program, send $4 check or money order payable to the Nightly Business Report in care of News Transcripts Incorporated, P.O. Box 34100, Washington, D.C.
The Nightly Business Report on KOCE is made possible by Unicare Insurance Company, specialist in workers' compensation insurance. Working with independent brokers, Unicare provides professional claims service and accident prevention programs for major California employers. Thank you for watching KOCE 50, Huntington Beach, Orange County Public Television.
Hello, I'm Louis Rukeyser, inviting you to join me for the next edition of Wall Street Week, when we'll light up the sky with a program about utilities. My guest, Ann Prebenson, is an expert on the industry that not only provides America's power, but has lately been one of the most powerful performers in the stock market. Don't forget to switch us on.
Friday night at 8, here on KOCE 50.
Hello, I'm Juliet Prowse, inviting you to join us as we bring you this year's presentation of Championship Ballroom Dancing. Dancers from across the country will compete for this year's top ballroom dancing honors in exciting head-to-head competition. You'll see everything from romantic waltzes to sizzling sambas, as well as exciting dance exhibitions. The glamorous costumes will dazzle you and the lively footwork will amaze you. Hey, white boy, just a doing down here, said I need some blues, I got a thirst for ears. want to miss one single step of this year's presentation of Championship Ballroom Dancing.
Saturday night at 9 here on KOCE 50.
TV worth watching, KOCE.
Good evening. Leading the news this Wednesday, martial law was lifted in China. The Supreme Court overturned fines against officials in the Yonkers, New York desegregation case, and thousands of Lithuanians demonstrated for independence from Moscow. We'll have the details in our news summary in a moment. Judy Woodruff is in Washington tonight. Judy?
After the news summary, we make China our lead focus. We hear different views of what U.S. policy should be from former Secretary of State Alexander Haig and political scientist Kenneth Lieberthal. Next, crime inside the Soviet Union. We have an unusual post-Glasnost look at the inside of the Soviet justice system. Then, today's Supreme Court ruling on the Yonkers, New York housing desegregation case. Nina Totenberg explains. And finally, arts correspondent Joanna Simon reports on the ties between creativity and depression.
Funding for the News Hour has been provided by PepsiCo. Every day we enjoy people being cold to us, cutting us up, getting fresh with us, tearing into us, and calling us chicken. In fact, the more people do it, the happier we are. PepsiCo. And by the John D. and Catherine T. MacArthur Foundation, a catalyst for change. And by AT&T. And made possible by the financial support of viewers like you and the Corporation for Public Broadcasting.
China ended martial law today. The move was announced on Chinese television by Premier Li Peng. He said martial law saved China from the abyss of misery, and he said China is now stable and people live and work in peace and contentment. Martial law was imposed in May as part of the government's crackdown against pro-democracy protests. Vice President Quayle said in Washington its lifting today vindicated U.S. policy since that crackdown. He spoke in his office during a photo session with Japan's trade minister.
We view China's decision to lift martial law as a step forward. I believe that you are beginning to see dividends from the president's policy toward China.
But most observers say that this really doesn't mean anything, that they still have the same powers to crack down on dissidents, the same oppressive human rights policy that they've always had.
It is a positive step forward for human rights.
We will have more on this story right after the news summary. Judy?
More than 20,000 Lithuanians held a demonstration today to call for a break with the Soviet Union. The demonstration came one day before Mikhail Gorbachev is scheduled to visit the Soviet Republic. We have a report from Lithuania's capital, Vilnius, by Bill Neely of Independent Television News.
Lithuania is demanding its independence. Tens of thousands gathered today, carrying the once banned Lithuanian flag, chanting for freedom and sending a clear message to Mr. Gorbachev. There was support from the other Baltic republics who are watching Lithuania's push for freedom, ready to take the same road. Speakers told the crowd, this week is a turning point in our history. The Moscow communists, who come to test the strength of the independence movement, received a traditional but cool welcome today. The Kremlin's chief of ideology explained to students why Moscow is angry that local communists split the party. The students showed him that they wanted freedom. The crowds who sang the Lithuanian anthem to end their rally will be back again tomorrow when Mr. Gorbachev is expected to arrive. His program is being kept secret to avoid confrontations.
The Soviet Union and its East European trading partners today agreed to change the way they do business with each other. The agreement was reached at a meeting of the Soviet East European trading bloc known as Comecon. The members agreed to start trading with hard currency at world prices, instead of dealing with non-convertible rubles. There was no agreement on how quickly the changes should take place.
Vice President Quayle also spoke today about space. He told a group of astronomers the U.S. would recapture the world lead in space exploration. He said unmanned projects would precede a manned mission to Mars, and he reaffirmed the decisions to build space stations and observatories on the moon. In space today, the crew of Shuttle Columbia successfully deployed a Navy satellite. The 15,000-pound communications satellite rolled out of the payload bay while the shuttle was over Africa. The satellite will be used by the Pentagon to communicate with its planes, ships, and bases around the world. This was day 2 of Columbia's 10-day mission.
A sharply split Supreme Court today handed down its verdict on a desegregation case in Yonkers, New York. The court overturned fines against 4 city councilmen who defied a federal judge's order to desegregate the city's housing. In 1988, the councilmen and the city were fined and held in contempt when they backed out on an agreement to build low-cost housing in a middle-class neighborhood. In today's 5-4 decision, the majority ruled that the judge who imposed the fines exceeded his authority. The dissenting justices warned that today's ruling could delay civil rights progress. We'll have more on the decision later in the program.
Severe storms continued to batter the Pacific Northwest today. Hundreds of people were forced from their homes in the town of Centralia, Washington. Heavy rains have caused severe flooding and mudslides throughout much of Washington and Oregon. Floodwaters up to 6 feet deep closed highways and washed out railroad tracks. This is the 3rd storm to hit the region in 4 days. The storms, with wind gusts up to 90 miles per hour, are blamed for 3 deaths.
That's it for the news summary. Just ahead on the News Hour, U.S. policy toward China, crime in the Soviet Union, a desegregation ruling from the Supreme Court, and creativity and depression. We begin tonight with the China story, the decision by the government in Beijing to lift martial law and the American response to events in that country since the crackdown on pro-democracy demonstrators last June. The Bush administration said last night's announcement vindicated its policies of staying in touch with China, including 2 controversial visits to Beijing by National Security Advisor Brent Scowcroft. Those trips reversed the original administration announcement that it was, in effect, freezing relations after the Chinese government sent in troops on June 4th to end 2 months of pro-democracy demonstrations and hunger strikes in central Beijing. Hundreds, perhaps thousands, were killed in the suppression of the democracy movement. The decision today, lifting martial law, which has been in effect since May, was announced on Chinese television. Premier Li Peng said anarchy had ended. And for the first time in more than 6 months, there were more tourists and journalists in Tiananmen Square than there were soldiers. Joining us tonight are 2 close observers of these developments, former Secretary of State Alexander Haig, who visited China in October. In the early 1970s, as White House Chief of Staff, General Haig coordinated President Nixon's historic visit to China. Kenneth Lieberthal specializes in Chinese politics at the University of Michigan. He was in China last spring during the student demonstrations and again last October. He joins us from public television station WTVS in Detroit. General Haig, let me begin with you. Is the lifting of martial law, is this a big deal? Is this significant, or is it not?
Well, it's certainly a positive step, and it's a welcome step. But the jury is still out till we see the consequences of this step and its implementation, as well as other reform measures, which we hope will be forthcoming.
How significant a move is this to lift martial law, Professor Lieberthal?
Well, I think that for the people of China, lifting martial law is really a distinction without a difference. The troops had largely been pulled back from Beijing when I was there in October. At least they were no longer on the streets. They were garrisoned out of sight. New laws have been passed within China that effectively give the government all the power it needs without a martial law regime. So the martial law component of it really is not very important. I think for the average Chinese, this will be very little change at all. The real question, I think, is whether in the United States and elsewhere abroad, the lifting of martial law is seen to be so significant a gesture that it permits countries to move forward rapidly in their relations with Beijing. And on that, I would agree with General Haig. The jury is still out.
Well, and before we get into that, I have another question, though, about the martial law situation. What is martial law in China? You were saying before the program began it's different from what we perceive in
Judy,
America.
it is very different in China than it might be in other Western democracies. Here we view martial law as a takeover of the government by the military. That has not happened in China, as the professor just pointed out. What you did do was have the troops move in to take over law enforcement roles when the law enforcement capability, the civil side, was incapable of doing the job. The government has functioned right on through this and is still functioning.
And so, and the government is perfectly capable now of moving in and repressing whatever activity it chooses
Well,
to
it
repress.
always was, and it always will be as long as it's a government, and the government of China. But that's not the issue here. The issue is if we had let the kind of opposition to Mr. Bush's policies that we hear today on the Hill and in academia prevail, we never would have went to China in the first place. And having been a part of that movement in the early 70s, I can tell you at that time they held American prisoners in China. And they were in a direct confrontation with us in Southeast Asia and the Vietnam conflict. You know, presidents don't have to be driven and must not be driven exclusively by what's popular at the moment in the media and among academics. They have to take risks in the long-term interest of the American people. I think Mr. Bush did that, and he did it with his eyes open, and that's sort of a rarity these days, even in the presidency.
And I want to ask you about that. Professor Lieberthal, why do you think the Chinese did it? And do you think it was directly related, if at all, to the visit by high-ranking U.S. officials, Mr. Scowcroft and Mr. Eagleburger this year? Last year, rather.
The question that's been puzzling observers watching China over the last month is why the Chinese didn't do it earlier. They had already essentially pulled back from the use of troops on the streets in large numbers. There were rumors that martial law would be lifted in the end of December. I think the events in Romania gave the Chinese a scare. Ironically, over the last few weeks, more troops have been moved into the Beijing area. But I think the specific timing of the announcement today probably was related to the Scowcroft visit. The Chinese probably wanted to make a formal declaration of the end of martial law before the Congress reconvenes on January 23rd. Let me add that many countries and international lending institutions have also been encouraging the Chinese to make this step. And so it's not only playing to an American audience, but the timing may well have been influenced by the American congressional calendar.
Do you agree that it was a factor of those things that the professor just cited, General?
Well, I certainly do, and I also believe that there are many international implications to this. The Chinese have known that the Japanese, as well as the West Germans and other European governments, have been holding back on their loans to China. Now, this move has made it easier. It happened to coincide with some changes that the U.S. government would have been considering for weeks, and that is to selectively remove some of the barriers to loans to China in the World Bank, as we've done in the other lending institutions.
So but on the question of whether this specific decision was made as a result of the Scowcroft-Eagleburger visit.
Well, we have no way to know that. I can understand that the Vice President would suggest that it is evidence of the dividends of those visits, and I suspect it is. I think it's always better to talk to the Chinese leaders and to avoid steps that drive them into angry isolation.
If this was a result, Professor Lieberthal, in some small way or big way of what the U.S. did in sending representatives last year, does that mean that our decision to send those representatives was the correct one?
Well, I think you have to consider the broader context of what the president has tried to achieve in his policy toward China. Let me say I very strongly support an active, affirmative policy toward China, but nevertheless I thought the Scowcroft visit was not a wise move. The president had several goals. One was to improve the political atmosphere in Washington to sustain an ongoing relationship with Beijing. And there he followed a very high-risk policy in announcing this visit right after the Congress had adjourned, essentially doing it in a secret and duplicitous fashion. We'll have to see whether that comes back to haunt him when the Congress reconvenes or later on in the spring as sanctions amendments come up for votes and that kind of thing. We'll also have to see within China whether this has improved the environment among Chinese leaders for moving forward with the United States. I think in the short term, over the past month, it has done that. But if they now feel that they have lifted martial law in part in response to the congressional calendar, and then Congress comes back and vents its anger on the president and reinforces or toughens our sanctions toward China, we may find that this really unravels in a very unfortunate fashion.
But on the specific question of sending the two representatives, your feeling is that was not. Did I hear you correctly? That's not the proper. That's not what the administration should have done.
Yes, I think it is not what the administration should have done. I think we should have engaged in a series of lower-level measures designed to gradually build confidence on both sides, interactive measures. We would do something, the Chinese would do something, so that within each capital there would be a dynamic that got going that gradually gave momentum to Sino-U.S. relations. And I think precisely that kind of development was being teased out in visits, for example, by President Nixon during the weeks before President Bush made this dramatic announcement.
If that was the case, General Haig, why was it the right thing for the administration to do?
Well, it seems to me, Judy, that we can get in the business of nitpicking tactics, and that's what we're doing. And the real question here is it right to maintain a dialogue with the Chinese government? And has it not been that dialogue with the United States and the People's Republic that has resulted in the tremendous improvements that any visitor to China can witness today, even in the wake of the outrageous repression of last May?
What do you mean?
The basic question is the president right in maintaining the dialogue? It's not a question of do we nitpick his tactics, that it shouldn't have been Skokov, it could have been Peter Pan, or maybe Al Haig or Richard Nixon. The facts are it was all of those things. And when we opened up our dialogue with China in the early 70s, we went through a subtle diplomatic minuet that went on for months and years. Little signals, little steps, until finally, you'll recall, Dr. Kissinger went secretly to China.
But this was not a little step this past year.
He did not tell the Congress, because if he had told the Congress, we would never have gone in the first place. Now, that's the dilemma that the professor quite rightly points out the president will face when the Congress returns. But I have enough confidence in the bipartisan good sense of our foreign policy experts on the Hill that they are not going to castrate the president's policies for China at this juncture.
What do you think the Congress will do, Professor?
I think it's always very difficult to know what the Congress will do. I think they were very angry about this when it was announced, but then Panama occurred subsequent to that. That probably has created goodwill up on the Hill and a feeling that the president should be given more flexibility in foreign policy. So Panama, ironically, may help the president on China, but I think it's a very dicey call, and we'll just have to see over the coming month or 2 months how that plays itself out.
What about, Professor, what about the students? Both of you gentlemen were just there in October. The students who survived the demonstrations, both those who are still in China and those who are outside of China, how active are they? Should we expect to see any sort of resurgence from those, the same elements who were involved last spring?
I think that there remains very widespread, very deep disaffection among students in China and among many others in China, including members of the Chinese Communist Party. There have not been major demonstrations. They have really stayed off the streets, kept these things simply among small groups, in part out of fear of what will happen if they do go onto the streets. But I think the situation is potentially volatile. One has to see if Deng Xiaoping should die or if some other major event should occur that seems to create an opportunity. I think there is a fair chance that we would see demonstrations that would potentially dwarf those that we saw last May and early June.
General Haig, do you think by the United States staying in touch with and maintaining a dialogue, as you put it, with the Chinese, that we make it easier for those students or more difficult?
I think we make it easier. And I think it's important to remember, as the professor just underlined, even the Chinese leadership in control is not monolithic. And it is the judgment of the experts on China with whom I've talked and whose testimony I have studied, and my own discussions in China, that I believe even the most avid reformers are very anxious that the United States maintain a dialogue, a presence, and an influence in China.
Do you agree with that, Professor Wilson?
Yes, I do very much. We
that there should be a dialogue.
I do agree that there should be a dialogue. The question is how you get to it and the level at which it should occur. And there, I am really afraid that when we talk about tactics, we aren't simply talking about nitpicking items. The question is whether the tactics may undermine the substance of policy by creating so much opposition in the U.S. Congress, and also by creating unrealistic expectations among the leadership in Beijing. So the issue is whether tactics will hurt fundamental policy. I do agree that over time, isolating China simply helps the hardliners, thereby doing their work for them.
All right, well, we will leave it there, gentlemen. We thank you for being with us, Professor Lieberthal, General Haig. Thank you both.
Judy.
Next, a report on crime in the Soviet Union. It's a subject that was seldom mentioned in the public press in the pre-Gorbachev years. Our report was done for the Journal program of the Canadian Broadcasting Corporation. The correspondent is Alan Abel.
It's midnight in the new Soviet Union of Mikhail Gorbachev. Police dispatch, Leningrad.
What's the problem? Что случилось? Who's causing the disturbance? Your husband? Okay, we're on the way.
The call comes from an apartment block on Vasilyevsky Island. It's a good middle-class neighborhood, the flat of Mr. and Mrs. Yuri Paltov. But when the detectives of the People's Criminal Militia arrive, they find Yuri Paltov dead on the kitchen floor. In Leningrad, a life ends, and the work of Soviet justice begins.
A specter is haunting the Soviet Union, the specter of violent crime. For 70 years, official Soviet propaganda pretended there was no crime in this country. There was no unemployment. There was no inequality of wealth. There were none of the conditions under which crime could even arise. But today, under Mikhail Gorbachev, the curtain has been lifted, and behind it we see not just crime, but a wave of crime.
At the Paltov's apartment, the forensic unit of the militia goes about its grisly routine.